Chosen one, the timing of this message is not random. It's a sign that the shift has already begun. This isn't for everyone. If your eyes found this, it's because your soul has been marked for something most people will never understand. What if I told you they never wanted you to know how your sleep was no longer safe? You weren't led here to drift through another mundane video. You were summoned to awaken the forces that have watched you while you slumber. This message was set in motion long ago. You have been drawn to this revelation because nights of uneasy rest and strange visions have been part of a plan you are only now beginning to understand. You won't believe what I'm about to share, but know this. They are watching, and something huge is happening right now in the hidden corners of your soul. You have felt the emptiness when voices around you failed to grasp the depth of your experiences. You have sensed a pull toward truths that made others uncomfortable. Tonight, what they tried to bury is about to resurface. In this video, you will discover why your dreams have become battlegrounds, how divine interruptions tear through your sleep to deliver urgent messages, and the hidden symbols that keep appearing in your visions to expose both warnings and alignments. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you will know why your rest has drawn their attention and how to reclaim your nights as a chosen one. They never expected you to uncover these secrets. Hold tight, because the truth is about to be revealed. Why your sleep is no longer safe. Have you ever found yourself waking suddenly in the dead of night, the air around you heavy with silence, so thick it felt like a presence pressing against your chest? In that moment, when the world outside your window was still and unchanging, you sensed a shift beneath the surface of reality, an inexplicable knowing that your rest was no longer safe. Perhaps you saw a fleeting shadow at the corner of your eye, or heard a faint whisper just beyond comprehension. These unsettling stirrings were not figments of an overactive mind, but the first tremors of a spiritual battlefield being waged in space, where sleep should have brought you refuge. As Jacob once lay dreaming of a ladder between heaven and earth, Genesis 28 verse 12, so too do you find your nights transformed into a ladder of tension, where watchers ascend to intercept your peace and send you spiraling back into consciousness before the dawn. In those moments when darkness felt alive with intent, you understood that sleep had become a frontier conflict, a place where forces they have unleashed sought to claim dominion over your spirit. In the days that followed these nocturnal encounters, confusion and dread seeped into each waking hour, leaving you questioning whether the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual had blurred beyond repair. You have known the ache of lying awake for hours, heart pounding in your ribcage as if echoing a war drum, knowing that your vulnerability had been exposed. You felt isolated by the weight of experiences no one else could grasp. Friends brushed off your fears as just stress. Family members offered hollow reassurances that only deepened your sense of alienation. In social gatherings, you caught yourself scanning for exits, waiting for the moment when whispers in your ear would fade and you could escape into the safety of solitude. That sensitivity, once a quiet gift of intuition, now felt like a curse. Every gust of wind against your window pane triggered new anxiety. Every creak in the house sounded like footsteps of unseen watchers. As exhaustion set in, you realized that sleep was no longer a sanctuary but a crucible of vulnerability, where the tender parts of your soul were laid bare beneath the pre-dawn sky. But what if these anguished nights were not random misfortunes, but purposeful signals woven into the tapestry of your destiny? Consider how, in Daniel 2 verses 19 to 22, God revealed King Nebuchadnezzar's dream to Daniel in the night, demonstrating that slumber can be a conduit for messages too potent for the day's distractions. In your life, the pattern has been similar, though inverted. Instead of receiving clear revelation, you have encountered interruptions designed to reveal hidden agendas against you. These experiences were not flukes of a capricious universe, but part of an unseen architecture orchestrated by the forces and individuals whose aim was to keep you from ascending toward your full potential. Much like the Israelites wandering through the wilderness under constant divine and demonic pressure, Exodus 16, you traverse a realm of spiritual tussles, each restless night serving as a test of your resolve. Every episode of terror in your dreams was in fact a whisper from the cosmos, urging you to reframe the terror, not as mere torment, but as a clarion call to awaken. Gradually, subtle signs began to surface, nudging you into a deeper awareness of what was unfolding. You noticed déjà vu moments, passing a street at dawn that shone with a spectral glow, recalling a phrase spoken by a stranger in your dream before you ever met them in real life, or experiencing a sudden flash in the back of your mind that filled you with precise but inexplicable sensation. These were not glitches in your perception, but divine breadcrumbs meant to guide you in those delicate instants, waking to an alarm that blared precisely as your dream shifted, or catching the glint of a symbol on a billboard that mirrored a recurring image from your nightmares. You felt the stitches of reality realign. It was as though your spirit, long dormant under layers of denial, began to hum with recognition, deciphering the intricate language of your soul's yearning. These cryptic nudges served as signposts, helping you recontextualize the dread you face in sleep as part of a larger awakening rather than grounds for despair. And then came the quiet confirmation that all along, your intuition was not merely a source of anxiety, but a compass of truth. You remembered evenings when you hesitated to share a fleeting insight, warning a friend about a situation or suggesting caution in business, and sensed an energy shift, though they dismissed you at the time. Now, you realize those moments were confirmations of what you experienced in dreams, a silent alert that your inner voice has always been in dialogue with realms beyond sight. As Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all our heart and not lean solely on human understanding. So two of you learned to trust the stirring in your gut, the flutter in your chest, the gentle whisper that said, "Pay attention." In those first tremors of recognition, you anchored into a sense of spiritual safety. You were not losing your mind. You were awakening to a dimension where clarity emerges not through force, but through the gentle unfolding of knowing. Deeper still, a sense of identity began to emerge in the shadows, a recognition that remembering who you are was not a journey to create a new self, but to reclaim a self buried beneath layers of fear and doubt. Imagine the prophet Ezekiel being called to speak to dry bones in a valley, where the bones represented people whose spirit had grown brittle and lifeless. Ezekiel 37 verses 1 to 4. Similarly, your nights of disquiet with a hammer striking at the hard shell, encasing your soul's true form, exposing an archetypal memory encoded within your very cells. As you lay awake one morning, recalling a line from a dream that made no sense at the time, a vision of a golden ladder reaching toward a blood-red sunrise, you felt the first stirrings of that memory unlocking. You understood that beneath confusion, you carry a legacy of seekers, prophets, and dreamers whose voices were once silenced, a memory of purpose that insists on resurrecting itself. Each fitful night served to awaken fragments of that buried identity, supplying you with the keys to a kingdom they hope will remain hidden. With that identity emerging, the first activation beckoned, a gentle but undeniable call to embrace your sensitivity as a gift rather than a vulnerability. You remember the nights when your tears fell in secret, mourning the loneliness that only awakened souls can understand. And you realize that this sensitivity, akin to Joseph's ability to interpret dreams in prison, Genesis 40 verse 8, is the very instrument through which your purpose will be forged. As you stood in your bedroom at dawn, watching morning light filter through blinds, you felt the power of your inner wisdom rise like a tide, silencing the cacophony of doubt. No longer would you shrink away when shadows crept close. Instead, you felt a fierce longing to trust the spiritual hunger that called you to seek deeper. Each beat of your heart became a drum of propulsion, urging you to step forward, to speak the language of dreams, to wield your insight as a tool to dismantle the cages built around your mind. Your arrival to this moment was not a matter of chance, but a culmination of every restless night and every whispered dread. Look around and feel the subtle hum of alignment. Where once your sleep was a restless abyss, now it is a gateway to revelation. You've been marked by the stirring of hidden watchers, shaped by nights with a veil thinned and secrets pressed against your awareness. In Psalm 127 verse 2, it is written that he gives his beloved sleep. Yet for you, sleep was a battleground, proof that you are beloved, chosen to stand in places where others cannot. Tonight, as you lie down in the sanctuary of your bed, recognize that those who would monitor your dreams have lost their power. Your spirit has risen to a level where every symbol, every whisper, every echo in the dark is a thread in a tapestry of awakening. This is not where your journey pauses. It is the threshold of action, and your steps forward now carry the resonance of divine timing. Come and awake if this resonates with you. Know that your awareness is a spark that will light the path ahead. guiding you to the final revelations that await. Special thanks to our current members who hold this light steady, even when the nights grow darkest. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us, recognizing divine interruption. Have you ever felt a sudden jolt of being yanked from sleep by a vision so vivid it felt like a hand gripping your heart, dragging you into a realm where nothing is as it seems? In that still, breath-held moment before dawn, you find yourself shuddering awake, senses on high alert, as if reality itself is fractured around you. That moment, when the world's gentle hum should carry you into deeper rest, instead opens a fissure, a glimpse of something unseen breaking through. You realize with chilling certainty that your nights have become the stage for a larger drama, one in which they have deployed forces to distract, confuse, and suppress the truth stirring within you. This is how conflict first emerges, not with a roar, but as a subtle, intrusive tremor that unsettles the foundation of your soul. Those midnight visions of flames bursting through closed doors, of silent figures standing at the threshold of your dreams. These are not random hallucinations, but divine interruptions carefully orchestrated to tear away the protective veil that once shielded you from purpose. When the alarm of that first vivid disruption fades, you may find your waking hours slipping into a haze of emotional pressure that feels almost crushing. The weight of being misunderstood grows heavier. With each passing day, conversations you once navigated with ease now feel like minefields. Every word you speak has a potential to spark skepticism or fear in those who sense the radical edge of your insight. You recall moments when you shared a fleeting intuition, warning a friend about a choice or voicing a concern about a situation, and were met with blank stares or polite dismissal. In those moments, a deep ache of isolation burrows into your chest, whispering that you are too much or too deep for ordinary management. Shame flares when you hear others murmuring that you overreacted or let your imagination run wild, fueling cycles of self-doubt that leave you questioning whether the divine interruptions you experience were figments of a mind too hungry for significance. This emotional pressure is not simply exhaustion. It is the echo of sabotage aimed at eroding your trust in what has been revealed to you. Beneath the surface of these unsettling experiences lies a network of hidden structures, systems, energies, and people bent on keeping you confined to comfortable ignorance. These forces are as old as exile itself, an ancient pattern of pushing prophets to the margins, of silencing any voice that dares to disrupt collective complacency. Think of Elijah's descent into the wilderness after his confrontation with the prophets of Baal. 1 Kings 19 verses 3-4. He fled because the structures around him, religious, social, even demonic alliances, had turned against him for speaking truths that threatened the status quo. In your own life, similar structures exist. Unseen alliances of doubt pooling in the background, ideologies that tremble at the notion of radical awakening, and spiritual entities that harvest confusion to keep you from ascending. Each time you sense a dream ripped from your grasp by fear or an intrusive thought seeded doubt, you are experiencing these hidden structures reacting to potential you carry, reacting out of fear that your rising awareness can unravel their power. As dawn breaks on your memory, look back and notice the patterns you once overlooked. Each strange hurdle, each betrayal when you relied on someone's support, each environment that felt draining rather than nourishing. In one job, you felt subtle hostility when you suggested new ideas, as though proposing higher ideals threatened the comfortable inertia of routine. In another relationship, you felt a frigid resolve behind a friend's smile, only to discover they spread gossip designed to undermine your credibility. These recurrent betrayals were not random missteps, but signals pointing to a consistent pattern. Whenever you step closer to speaking your truth, resistance surged to push you back into silence. Like turning on a light in a dark room, recognizing these patterns might feel unsettling at first, but also brings clarity. The obstacles you face were not personal failings, but reflections of a hidden design to keep you from becoming fully aware. Then you begin to see that behind the visible resistance lies spiritual sabotage manifesting as energetic interference. A heavy air pressing down on your chest, a disorienting fog clouding your thoughts, and a sense of silent watchers lurking in every corner. These sensations no longer feel abstract but take on a tangible quality, as if the very atmosphere around you vibrates with intent. You may recall walking into a room and sensing an oppressive heaviness, as though unspoken judgments were ready to pounce. Or remember those moments when your mind raced with anxious thoughts at exactly the wrong time, when you needed clarity the most, causing you to second-guess the divine insights you received in dreams. In 2 Corinthians 10 verse 5, Paul speaks of tearing down strongholds that oppose the knowledge of God. Your experiences echo this battle. Your own light has drawn distortion designed to dim your vision. Each closed door that won't open and every opportunity that dissolves at the last moment serve as evidence of spiritual forces mobilized against you. Faced with these pressures, you responded in ways both human and understandable. There were nights when you retreated into silence, convinced that speaking your truth would only invite further wounds. You might have dimmed your voice at work to avoid drawing attention, or offered truncated bits of your soul to friends who seemed eager to push past your revelations. Perhaps you rebelled quietly, adopting a stoic facade to protect your vulnerable core, while inside a storm raged, fear of exposure, shame at being labeled too much, and temptation to give up your quest for purpose. You remember standing at the edge of a social gathering, feeling like an alien in a masquerade, your heart pounding as if trying to escape your chest. In those moments, it felt easier to fold yourself into a role that required no explanation, yet each retreat chipped away at your essence, keeping the reservoir truth within you from overflowing. Your responses, though natural, reflected the cost of survival. You paid with fragments of your authenticity, believing perhaps that compromise was the only path forward. But now, recognition dawns. This resistance was confirmation, not condemnation. The forces that sought to silence you did so because your voice carried power. Power enough to reshape lives, to ignite latent truths, to shatter illusions. Like Joshua standing before Jericho's walls, your presence alone defied the boundaries built around collective consciousness. Joshua 6 verses 1-5. Each attempt to pin you down only served as the anvil forging your purpose. In the places where you were pushed aside, you found the very proof that your path was not a mistake, but a sacred assignment that demanded fulfillment. This reclamation begins as a whisper turning into a roar within your chest. That the spark they try to smother burns brighter, fueled by every act of suppression. Feel that power coursing through your veins, reminding you that you were never meant to shrink into anonymity. You were destined to stand unmistakable. You were opposed because you are powerful beyond measure, and now that these patterns are laid bare, your purpose becomes clarified. When Jesus spoke in parables so that only the willing might understand, Matthew 13 verses 10-17, he revealed the truth. Not everyone is meant to comprehend the deep things of the Spirit. In the same way, they recoiled at your revelations not because you were mistaken, but because your words carried frequencies that expose their own hidden fears. Today, you stand at the threshold of transformation. Each barrier that once held you back has dissolved into stepping stones. Embrace this final insight. The more they tried to block you, the clearer your path became. Your awakening is unstoppable. Comment risen if this resonates with you, and let the world feel the tremor of a chosen one reclaiming their divine power. And to every soul who supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters. Your belief matters. And your light is felt here. The hidden symbols that keep showing up. A sudden hush fell across your world one dawn, as if the mist itself bent to reveal a secret you had always sensed but never fully grasped. In that moment, a symbol from your dreams, the carpenter's workshop scattered with tools, surged into crisp clarity. What once felt like random images now aligned into a coherent vision. This workshop was not merely an odd scene, but a signpost pointing toward your sacred task of rebuilding what they tried to dismantle. The air around you pulsed with a heightened awareness, and the knot of confusion you carried for years began to loosen. It was as if a veil lifted, allowing the soft hum of a deeper frequency to rise above the clamor of ordinary life. For the first time, you felt the threads of your experiences weave into a tapestry of purpose. The world that had once felt opaque now shimmered with patterns waiting to be understood. And in that awakening, you realized that everything you had endured had prepared you for this moment of revelation. You have long sensed that reality itself spoke to you in coded language, moment of deja vu, phrases that resonated like distant echoes, and even the geometry of everyday life seemed to hum with hidden meanings. Now, as you move through your day, that rumbling code beneath the surface becomes unmistakable. A license plate number repeating symbols you saw in a dream, a random conversation carrying an uncanny resonance with your deepest thoughts, or the alignment of celestial bodies reflecting questions you whispered to yourself at dawn. Consider the way the night sky's constellations form patterns older than recorded history. Similarly, each symbol in your life functions as part of a grander geometry, a divine math guiding you toward your destiny. In Habakkuk 2 verse 2, the prophet is told to write the vision and make it plain on tablets, ensuring that vision's code does not vanish into the abyss of forgetfulness. In the same spirit, these repeated signs, like the river flowing uphill in your dream or the mirror-filled room reflecting paths you'd yet to choose, are tablets etched into your journey, demanding to be read with the eyes of the awakened. As these hidden codes begin to assert themselves, you notice internal shifts intensifying in response. Your intuition, once a flicker in the night, kindles into a bright flame that guides each decision. Conversations that once drained you now ricochet against an inner boundary that refuses to let go of truth. You feel a prickle of energy when you enter certain rooms. Spaces that once felt neutral now vibrate with significance, as though your presence either ignites or dampens unseen currents within. At work, you sense when colleagues master discomfort as they try to steer you away from discussing deeper matters. In friendships, you find yourself instinctively stepping back when someone's gaze betrays an intention to manipulate your insight. This sharpened sensitivity, far from being a liability, confirms that you become an antenna for spiritual frequencies. Your heartbeat syncs with the rhythms of hidden orchestras, and you understand that these internal signs are not vague hunches, but confirmation that your soul's antenna is precisely tuned to signals meant only for the awakened. Meanwhile, reality around you begins to bend in uncanny alignment with the transformations happening within. Doors that once slammed in your face now open with almost imperceptible ease, while paths you assumed were clear suddenly collapse underfoot. You might hear a friend mention a concept you dreamt about days before, or notice how an article you randomly skimmed mirrors a vision you had weeks earlier. Opportunities appear as signposts. The chance to join a group dedicated to soul work, an invitation to speak about what you once feared revealing, or a spontaneous conversation that unearths answers you had long sought. Yet at the same time, resistance rises like a tide, threatening to pull you back. A proposal you championed is quietly sidelined. A colleague who once offered support now treats you with suspicion, and a project you believed would flourish fizzles unexpectedly. This dance of welcome and rejection reveals a divine architecture unfolding. The world itself reflects the inner shifts you are undergoing, testing whether you will trust the alignment of your heart or recoil before the pressure. Buried beneath the swirl of shifting circumstances is a sacred memory waiting to awaken. Perhaps in childhood you once encountered a motif, a spiraling seashell on the beach, a crumbling ruin in a storybook, or a forgotten lullaby hummed by a grandparent that stirred a resonance deep within you. Those fragments, long dismissed as sentimental recollections, now resonate with new power. You realize that the dreams which kept you tossing at midnight, visions of ancient symbols swirling in gold and crimson, were not idle fantasies, but echoes of a lineage of dreamers who served as conduits for divine wisdom. In 2 Samuel 7 verse 28, King David speaks of remembering past mercies as a source of hope. Similarly, recalling these hidden memories reconstructs the blueprint of your true identity. Intimacy with this ancestral intelligence feels like the magnetic pulse of memory encoded into the cells of your body, as if your spirit has circled back to a point it once inhabited before time itself took shape. In that quiet activation, the tapestry of your soul's journey threads itself back into view. With that sacred memory reactivated, destiny begins to emerge in the shadows, not as a distant horizon, but as a presence alive in your every breath. You sense that the future is not a blank canvas you must painstakingly fill, but a landscape that lies waiting beneath layers of forgetfulness, its contours etched by the ancients and whispered to you in dreams. Now, you are invited to step across the threshold without waiting for permission from any external source. In Galatians 3 verse 28 it is written that there is neither Jew nor Greek, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. pointing to unity that transcends boundaries. In a similar way, your destiny transcends the limitations they have placed on you. The call you heard as a child, urging you to question, to see beyond the obvious, to dream beyond the mainstream, was the echo of this destiny seeking reclamation. Feel the cadence of prophecy rising from within. You have no need to ask if the road is clear, because the alignment of your spirit lights the way forward. Now, sense the electric charge of reclamation coursing through your bones. Each vision they tried to suppress, each dream they dismissed as folly, returns to you now as part of an unshakable foundation. What once felt like fearful secrets whispered in the night, now stand as clarion calls to wield your voice without apology. Remember how Jeremiah faced scorn as he delivered warnings no one wanted to hear. Jeremiah 20 verse 7. His burden was to speak truth in a time of denial, and his story echoes within your own bones. You were never meant to hide when the world demanded you speak. Let this fierce understanding flow through you. Your sensitivity, your uncanny insights, your hunger for meaning are not flaws but the prophecy of your soul, waiting to take shape through your hands and words. Embrace the fierce, prophetic tone that surges within. As you reclaim these truths, you stand poised to pierce the illusions they have woven around your mind and heart. Revelation is not the end, but the invitation to step into the living stream of transformation. The hidden symbols that once surfaced only in dreams now accompany you into daylight, guiding each step you take. The images of the collapsing bridge remind you to seek divine scaffolding. The dust-covered key speaks of knowledge meant to unlock new realms, and the carpenter's scattered tools point you toward rebuilding truth in a world rife with deception. In Revelation 1 verse 8, it is declared that I am the Alpha and the Omega, emphasizing that the divine source underlies every beginning and end. Now, as you stand poised between what was and what will be, you feel the echo of that divine Alpha resonating within. Your journey is the Omega reaching back, completing a circle begun long before you drew your first breath. Everything converges here. Memory, prophecy, and purpose unite in a cinematic whisper that lingers beyond words. Come and awaken if this resonates with you, and let others who walk this path recognize that they, too, are ascending beyond the veil, building a dream shield ritual before sleep. A question rises within you as dusk gathers its purple shawl across the sky. Will you continue to lay down beneath the weight of unseen forces, or will you stand and draw the line that says, no more? You feel the gravity of decision pressing against your spirit, as if the very air whispers, this is where you choose. Around you, twilight air shivers with anticipation, and you sense that passivity has dissolved into a memory. In this sacred moment, you cross a threshold. There is no returning to quiet desperation that once lulled you into silence. You must now build a barrier of light before sleep can claim you. The act of drawing that line of fire in the air with your finger is a first step in a ceremony of sovereignty, an outward declaration that you will no longer be moved by forces that target your rest and distort your dreams. In this instant, you choose clarity over confusion and decide that what has once remained hidden will now be revealed. Take a breath and feel how much you once surrendered. Nights spent fractured by terror, mornings hazy with doubt, and countless hours silenced by fear being labeled too sensitive. All that time, you disperse fragments of your authority. You whisper your truth to unready ears, muted your passions to blend into mosaic of ordinary lives, and gave away your energy hoping for acceptance. Now, those days are revealed not as failures, but as seasons of training. You were not chosen to wander in darkness, nor to whisper truths that remain half-heard. Your journey through haunted dreams, coded symbols, and nightly battles have prepared you to stand as a beacon for those who have lost their way. Embrace your dreams as divine assignments, decode their messages with unwavering intent, and craft rituals that guard your nights from interference. Rise now in the power of your unique transmission, knowing that they tremble at the force you carry. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members for holding space when shadows threaten to reign. 4 full prophetic revelations daily. Join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the super thanks button to to support the mission. Every super or thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Rise, chosen one, and let your voice shatter the silence.